The boy asks the girl how to take Noon, to push even harder. He screams with pleasure and falls into the lake under the swing. The boy asks Nuna to try riding the swing herself, because it is very cool. The girl is not sure that it is a very good idea to slide off a swing that is hurtling towards the mountain at full speed. Nuna believes that nothing terrible will happen to the boy, but for her it is a very dangerous pastime. By persuasion and tricks, the boy drives Nuna onto the swing. The girl is not very confident. Somewhere below, the boy shouts for the girl to let go of her hands and swim into the water. The landing should have been soft. The girl falls into the water, but falls too deep. She feels herself beginning to sink. All the years of a short life flash before her eyes. The idea that she was a graduate student in her past life comes to mind. Nuna was a very diligent and responsible student. She always agreed to all the teacher's suggestions, and her mistake was agreeing to go to the mountains for team building. At first glance, everything should have gone smoothly. The teacher leading the group was disappointed with the physical training of his wards. Nuna assured that the teacher himself has an extremely developed body, and against his background, they are all real amateurs. In fact, the girl was very angry. First of all, on myself, and only then on the professor, who was too difficult to keep up with. Besides, she went to the mountains on her legal day off. Nuna mentally berated the teacher for making her go on this hike after she'd been stuck in the lab all night yesterday. In her opinion, he simply had no conscience. He could have been kinder. The professor asked him to take a picture. He dreamily looked at the surrounding nature. Memories of his student years distracted him from the main goal of the trip and gave the students a break. Nuna took pictures of the annoying professor. He assured that the photos turn out very cool because the reason for this is the beautiful model posing for the photographer. But the background was not good enough. The teacher asked Nuna to move even further so that all the majesty and beauty of nature fit into the frame. The girl obediently obeyed the professor's instructions. At the last moment, she felt the ground slipping away from under her feet. Blood spread around her body. Nuna thought that she simply could not die now in this hole. Besides, for such a stupid reason, because of his own carelessness. But the voice said that this is how she should die. Nunu, a girl, was pulled out of the water by her younger brother. He saved her. The girl thanked and assured that everything was fine with her and she could handle it on her own. The girl was struck by the strength of the boy's grip. The boy said that this time she scared him very much. She pretended to be a coward and a weakling. Nuna asked to forgive her because she really overdid it this time. She promised that there would be no more. Nuna believed that her younger brother hated her, and that's why she chose the role of a victim and constantly follows him. The girl is forced to play his games and fool around as soon as he wants. The girl drew parallels between how in her past life she served and walked on her hind legs in front of the professor, and now she has to fulfill the whims of her younger brother, whom she does not like very much. The little girl stood surrounded by women in mourning clothes. The whole group was among the cemetery. The women were wondering what to do with the girl. After all, there were 6 more children without her. Nuna reflected on the life that had changed dramatically after her fall as she photographed the professor. She opened her eyes already when she was standing in the middle of a cemetery near people she did not know. A woman with rough, almost masculine facial features shouted to someone unknown to the girl that they wanted to push the baby into their arms, but they knew about the difficult situation in the woman's family and wanted to take advantage of it. Nuna tried to understand where she was and how she got here. There was something incomprehensible going on around, including these people who were quarreling right in the cemetery. Her arms and legs were very small, and she was small in stature. The girl saw 2 coffins standing in front of her. She realized that most likely she had become an orphan. Nuna became a poor orphan who was not needed by anyone. Everyone around wanted to suffocate from her and get out of here as soon as possible. She fell. Nuna realized that her better fate awaited her in the orphanage. She was tired and fed up with the pushing and shouting. Relatives shouted that now there is a shortage of little girls in orphanages. The eyes of relatives turned to the girl when they found out what price those who want to take an orphan pay for girls in orphanages. Human greed knows no bounds. Nuna understood. The girl ran away from her relatives. Adults shouted at her and asked her to stop. But the girl was not going to obey them. She believed that everyone would do the same in her place. And it's better to be on your own. Nuna ran into a young woman on the way. The relatives, who caught up with the girl, ordered the unknown woman to give them the child. After all, she rightfully belonged to them. The girl asked not to give her to these people. The girl told in tears that she was going to be sold into slavery and get money. Relatives made excuses and said that the girl was lying. There was a small misunderstanding and nothing else. The man, who was among the nun's relatives, said that the girl would simply go to the orphanage, and there a new family will be waiting for her, who will take her in. On the contrary, everything will be better for the orphan. The girl was sitting on the arms of an unknown woman. The stranger's husband stood up for Nuna and said that if the girl had to go to the shelter anyway, he and his wife would adopt her. That would be even better than injuring the poor girl. Nuna's relative said that everything is not so simple. He can't believe the first best he meets. After all, he had to make sure that such a precious child would get into a decent family and would have all the proper conditions. The man who was going to adopt Nuna threw a cap with money to the relatives of the orphan. All questions to him were removed at the same moment. Everything became clear to everyone, what will happen to the girl and what future fate awaits her. Late at night, the girl and her new family were riding in a carriage. The woman asked the girl, whom she called Reina, if she was scared. The stranger said that they should have arrived earlier. Nuna thought that these people knew her. The woman said she was the girl's mother's best friend. She told Reina about her mother's background and the noble family she belonged to. But at one time she ran away with her lover, Reina's father. The woman understood that things were developing too quickly for a small event, but soon everything would calm down and fall into place. The new family will take care of their child and provide everything necessary. Nuna found the new family's behavior strange, but she still had no choice. She did not want to be alone again with relatives who wanted to make money off her. But when the girl got to the house of adoptive parents, all doubts disappeared. She understood that if heaven existed on earth, it must have been in this house. How impressive everything inside was. Father and mother called Kirian. The little one was going down the stairs, but not in a hurry. He looked at the little sister his parents had told him about. Nuna concluded that her new baby brother was quite cute. Parents introduced Nuna to Reina. She will become a new member of their family. The father said that the age difference between the brother and sister is 2 years, so they should easily become friends and spend time together. The boy extended his hand to his sister. Nuna wanted to pull her brother's cheeks. She liked him and said she was glad to meet him. Her feelings were sincere. She hoped they would get along easily. The girl took her brother's cheeks. They were very soft and tender. The boy did not like it. Nuna had no idea that that day she met the strongest man in the kingdom and became his slave. Reina. Nuna was embarrassed when she saw Kirian's reaction to her. The mother hastened to smooth out the conflict. She said that the girl was very happy to meet her and that the boy seemed very nice and pleasant to her. Kirian asked if he could show his new baby sister around the house. The girl was very happy with this offer. On the contrary, the mother was only in favor. She was glad that the children got along so easily. Reina, Nuna, who was climbing the stairs after Kirian, was thinking how to hold back and not hit the boy's nice ass. The girl has completely forgotten who she was and in whose body she is now. Suddenly, Nuna fell. She flew down the stairs. Her brother had no reaction to this. He was not going to run to help the girl. Just said he forgot to warn about the false step made for thieves. Kirian led her to the room that would now be her quarters. The girl could not believe her eyes. The room was bigger than her entire apartment in her previous life. But something in the child's behavior alarmed her. He showed her a century-old canopy, and when the girl bent down to see him, he shook the dust right in her face. The girl understood that Kirian decided to fool around, but it was unpleasant for her to breathe dust. She thought that really such a wonderful little one could not think badly. He took care of her in this way, but it did not work out for him because he is still very small, and small children will not be bullied specifically. For a long time she hoped that this was indeed the case. But then it turned out that he constantly tried to tease and make fun of her. Kirian pretended that nothing terrible had happened and that it was all just a joke. But constantly what she considered manifestations of a childish attitude crossed all boundaries. This behavior was repeated constantly. And Raven, Nunu began to have doubts about the behavior of the little one. He wasn't so cute anymore. After another time, Nuna asked Kirian if he specially arranges some tricky situations and cases for her. She couldn't believe that people could be bullied like that. The boy ignored her words. He asked ironically what his stepsister could do to him. After all, telling parents about everything is not an option. Kirian had no doubt who would be believed more, but Nuna was determined and was not going to tolerate bullying. The girl realized that telling her parents was not an option. After all, if she and Kirian do not become friends, they will not evict her. The terrible realization of the cruel truth confused and scared the little girl. Nuna understood that he was a very beautiful and sweet child, and she is just a foster sister who can be put outside the door at any moment. The Duchess will not come to her defense because she is just a friend of the girl's mother. The girl openly asked why Kirian did not like her. He replied that she should guess by herself. She thought about the reasons for such an attitude on the part of her older brother, but it was all in vain. My head hurt from thinking. And then she asked for help from the uncle who was written in the portrait. Nuna could not cope with the descendant of the great ancestor depicted in the picture on her own. She read the name Istira on the caption to the picture. Nuna remembered that this was the name of the main character of a book she read in a past life. This was the name of the then most powerful secular ruler of the duchy and lands. This man was perfect in everything. His only drawback was a difficult character. It was because of this that many people respected him, but did not like his company. In addition, he had a younger sister, a commoner, and although the sister was not of such a noble family as her famous brother, she was full of pride and honor. She constantly mocked the main character of the novel, which Nuna had read many times. At the end of the evil Duchess died at the hands of her brother, who was fed up with her empty taunts. The girl wondered why Kirian hated her so much. She didn't do anything bad to him. Is it because of an unsuccessful first meeting? Karina must have been pissed when she stroked his cheeks. After all, he is very proud and stubborn. He probably didn't like Nuna touching his face without the little one's permission. In the novel, Kirian had a very bad character. He turned away any sympathies of the readers. The Duke was very vindictive and did not allow him to be mocked or even the slightest display of disrespect with impunity. Nuana was already starting to panic. But she remembered the fate that her relatives were preparing for her and thought that she would not give up just like that. Although the Duke was stubborn and angry, she had to hold her own in this family. The girl watched her stepbrother for the 5th day to understand how she could find a common language with him. But unfortunately, her efforts were not crowned with success. It was only clear that he liked to train alone. Nuna looked at the target where the arrow had hit. The girl understood that she must support her half-brother and obey him. Kirian noticed her and asked what she was doing here. Kirian said he noticed Nuna following him a long time ago. The girl said that she just wanted to be friends with him. The boy replied that he did not want a girl to be friends with him. Nuna was very afraid of her future fate. She thought that she should do something useful together with her brother. The girl couldn't train with him, but she can help him carry the arrows so that Kirian doesn't interrupt his training. Nuna brought an arrow to the boy. He was unhappy that she was doing everything for so long. The girl praised him for very good shooting. She believed that Kirian shoots like a true knight. The boy was proud. Nuna said she was impressed with his skills, and such a worthy candidate for a knight will not be hindered by an assistant, which she is ready to become for him. The girl called him the best archer. The boy assured her that she was mistaken. The best archer in this case is his father. Nuna corrected herself, because she believed that he would become the best in the future when he would become an adult. The girl was confused. She felt that she now looked very much like a typical hypocritical servant of a cruel tyrant. But at the same time, she knew that people who licked live longer, so she would use this strategy. After some time, Nuna managed to find Kirian's weakness. The boy was very fond of donuts. He could eat a whole box by himself and not share. His sister called him mature and intelligent, very smart. Flattery worked very well on the boy. Sometimes he could even share the goodies with his sister. But it was quite rare. They did this together quite often, hiding behind the bookshelves in the library. The mother asked Reina, Nuna, if she had ever tried donuts. The woman assured that these are new sweets brought from the capital itself. The girl could eat as much as she wanted, because Kirian did not like sweets. But now that she has such a wonderful daughter, the woman can treat her to something delicious, and share her thoughts about how nice it is. The foster mother was very kind to Nuna. She loved the girl. The girl thought that she was very lucky because she could eat all the sweets, because the Duchess herself did not eat sweets. So is Kirian. Reina was simply delighted with where she had ended up. Sometimes his mother would get Kirian to try the donuts because Reina is very happy with that. The boy agreed. The mother was surprised that the son would try something new for himself because of the girl, but at the last moment he refused. After all, eating sweets was for babies. But Reina knew that he really wanted something sweet, and Kirian couldn't just show his weakness like that. The woman said that in that case, all the sweets will be Rainey's. The girl cried for a long time, but a little later she said that she would not eat everything. Her mother suggested that she take a box of donuts with her. After she shared the donuts with Kirian, she brought him a treat a few more times. Over time, Reina and Nuna got the impression that their relationship with their half-brother had improved. The girl asked Kirian why he pretended not to eat sweets. He assured that the donuts are not sweet at all, and sweets are generally for children, and he in no way considers himself a child. Nuna, she said that she likes sweets. Kirian said it was because the girl was still young, and she simply couldn't grow up to be mature and responsible like him, and real adults do not eat sweets. A descendant of the Duke said that he became an adult at the age of 2, and he felt at the level of his glorious parents. The girl asked how it happened that he became an adult 4 years ago. Kirian asked to keep their secret. The little boy asked his sister if she likes sweets. He asked her to bring more sweets because she would definitely be given them, because she is still small. In addition, he wanted to keep his passion for sweets a secret from his parents. The girl learned to manipulate her younger brother, and that's why she said that next time she will ask her parents to buy more sweets. Kirian said she was a pleasure to deal with. The girl asked to apply again. She didn't need more. She hoped that their relationship would remain at least at the level of cooperation. Nuna thought how hard it was to fight for life. She regretted her former life very much. Someone called out to Nuna. An unknown voice called her a commoner. The girl did not immediately understand that they were addressing her. Ruina. Nuna did not know this brazen girl who called her name so easily. The girl turned out to be the daughter of Viscounts Humphrey. They were close relatives of the Duke's family. Nuna thought about raising the children of this world, who as soon as the adults go somewhere, start calling names and slandering. The daughter of the Viscounts said that in Nuna's place, she would not even dare to lift her head. Nuna herself wondered why the girl could not play quietly. The heiress of the Viscount family said that it would be difficult for the girl. The daughter of the Dukes said that she is not strong and is trying to get into the upper world and become one of the boring aristocrats who, apart from pathetically fainting, do not know how to do anything. Humphrey laughed smugly. Reina thought that her main goal now was to live quietly until Kirian came of age and become completely independent of his whims and start living a real life, albeit one that was quite alien to her. The girl guessed the plot of the books. It was said that Kirian had a very nasty character, and over time he will become the usurper of his father's power. It will happen the moment he falls in love, after which he will expel the Duchess as well, and he sentenced his half-sister to death. Their relationship has improved now, but human nature is pretty fickle, as her college professor said. At the moment, her only priority was to win Kirian's love and respect. But you should not forget about your future. She must become completely independent of her named relatives, and for this, it was necessary to collect the necessary funds and ensure the financial side of the future life. And she didn't care what others said about her there. Reina will simply act in her own interests. Kirian entered the room. His little sister rushed to him. Nuna said she missed him a lot. And where was he? Because she was looking for him for a long time. The boy did not understand such a stormy reaction of his sister. But the daughter of the Viscounts herself approached Kirian and offered to go play with him. Her name was Olivia, and the boy agreed that his sister was not needed for their game. Reina looked confusedly at her brother and Olivia. Kirian smiled at his sister and asked her to wait a little. The girl fell in love with his beautiful smile. But when the Duke's son and Olivia left, an inexplicable feeling of anxiety took over Nuna. And she was worried for good reason. Her little brother came back alone. Olivia's parents could not understand how it happened that their daughter got lost and the boy returned alone. The Viscount's wife demanded an explanation from Reina. The woman pounced on the little girl, arguing that she was the oldest in the company and had to look after the little ones. The mother asked the girl to answer, because nobody needs a scandal. Olivia's mother could not calm down. Kieran unexpectedly came to the defense of his sister. He said that Olivia herself did not want to play with a commoner, and therefore his little sister was not guilty of anything. Confused, the Viscount's wife asked what had happened to her daughter in that case. The boy replied that the last thing the girl told him was that she wanted to go to the bathroom, after which he did not see her. The adults decided that it was time to seriously look for the missing girl. The Viscount ordered to search all the surroundings of the castle. The people around were very worried about where the little girl had gone. Nuna and Kieran were left alone. The boy was thinking about what to do before dinner, because there was still a lot of time. The sister asked him, "Does he really not know where Olivia went?" At first, the girl trusted Kieran. This could be explained by the fact that until she saw in the boy the tyrant from the novel she loved to read so much. The boy studied well and was quite obedient. He endured hard training for a long time and couldn't give up until he got his way. In any situation, he behaved like an adult, treated the servants very well, and did not allow them to be offended. However, there was a suspicion that it was all for show. If he had such a character as in the novel, Nuna should think about what he could have done with Olivia. The sister tried to talk to her brother. The next question stunned the girl. Kieran asked why she was so concerned about the fate of Olivia. Because she didn't like her at all. The sister assured that it just seemed to her brother. The boy asked again if she really wanted to know where Olivia had gone. Reina. Nuna was not against it, but she was afraid of becoming an accomplice to the murder. The boy said that Olivia is on the 5th floor. On the 5th floor, there were dressing rooms for the maids and the butler, and another room was empty, but it was broken a long time ago and did not function. Syrian advised that she could use the butler's dressing room. He knew perfectly well that Olivia would not go to the toilet, which was used by commoners, and that's why the boy warned that it's better not to go to the bathroom, which has been broken for a long time. Nuna and her brother went to look for the missing girl. Nuna was tired of wandering around such a big house. It was simply gigantic, and finding the missing daughter of the Viscounts was not as easy as it seemed at first glance. Kieran quickly got tired of the search. He asked if they could finally stop searching and go eat candy. He promised to give her very tasty sweets. The girl used phrases used by child abductors. Nuna replied that she really wanted to find Olivia. Her little brother asked her why she wanted it so much. The girl replied that she was just worried about how the girl was feeling. Kieran asked if she liked Olivia. Finally, their search was crowned with success. Nuna. Reina saw Olivia, who was leaning over the sink. Her hair was as if pulled to the drain of the sink. He was engulfed in a pulsating energy that glowed purple. The girl asked to help her. Reina asked her not to move, and now they had to come up with something. The problem was a broken spell, and most likely Olivia's hair needed to be cut. And while Reina was looking for ways to cut Olivia's hair, Kieran simply tore off a strand of the Viscount's daughter's golden hair. The girl was standing on the floor in front of the young descendant of the Duke. The boy held a lock of hair in his hands and bragged to his stepsister that he had saved Olivia from the spell. Although he did something wrong in the Nuna's opinion, it was not necessary to tell him about it and turn it against him. When the family of the Duke and Viscount sat at the table, Olivia's father thanked Kieran for saving his daughter. The boy said that it was not he, but his sister who found Olivia, and he simply freed her from the evil shower. Olivia thought that Kieran was truly evil, because he cut off her hair almost at the root. Reina also thought her little brother cut her short, but I thought in my mind that it could be even shorter. The Viscount jumped up and asked his daughter not to speak like that. After all, she was his best and most beautiful. And Kieran simply changed her image and hairstyle very successfully. You shouldn't have complained about the savior like that. Nuna tasted sweets and wondered how even adults could praise Kieran in such a situation. Could it have been planned by the boy himself? She carefully watched how the little one wielded a knife and fork with chubby hands. Already at such a young age, he showed true mastery of bladed weapons. There was not even a shadow of repentance on his face for his rather cruel actions. Suddenly, the Duchess began to praise Reina. The woman said that if it weren't for Reina, they would still be looking for Olivia by now. The Duke joined his wife and said that they should say a big thank you to his adopted daughter. The Viscounts were not happy. The girl modestly asked not to thank her. She just did what she had to do. She was interrupted by the Viscount's wife. She loudly declared that the adults had forgotten about the gifts for the children in this summation. Kieran found himself in the spotlight. He was given toy monsters. The toys were made by the best toy makers and airlifted here. The monstrosities were indeed masterfully executed. The boy thanked. But apart from that, he was rewarded with gold coins for rescuing Olivia and her new magical hairdo that he chose for her. Reina was very surprised. She felt a surge of envy at the fact that the boy was so gifted. The Duke's wife also prepared a gift for Olivia, and she also got pocket money. Nuna was waiting for her turn to come. After all, her brother and Olivia were showered with gifts. The girl did not need gifts and toys for children. She expected only money, or rather, gold coins. The foster mother said it was finally her time to receive the presents. The Viscount frowned, because he did not know that another gift was needed. Reina thought that since she was a commoner, it was not appropriate for her to receive gifts. Her dream was to become rich and lead a carefree life. She just needed money for happiness, and nothing else. She openly said that she would not be offended by the lack of a gift, but don't mind getting some pocket money. The Viscount is impressed by the girl's greed for money. Reina's parents asked why the Viscount would not give money to their daughter. The Duke and his wife said they did not expect the Viscount to be in such dire financial straits. If they had known earlier, they would not have demanded gifts for their son and would have returned the money given to him. The Duke said that he had heard rumors about the Viscount's difficult financial situation, but he did not expect that everything was so deplorable, and so the Duke said he would give for pocket expenses on behalf of the Viscount. Her parents gave her a beautiful custom-made doll. They hoped that she would like her very much. The clothes of the doll were instructed by precious stones, and it was made by a master who is difficult to surpass. Nuna! Reina noticed that Kieran was glaring at the Viscount and his wife. Everyone noticed that the boy was very angry, and the noble family is now in a very difficult situation. It is worth finishing the dinner. At night, the nun came to the door of Kieran's bedroom. She called him and asked to sleep with him. She worried that nothing would happen to her at night, but in fact, she had a completely different intention. Nuna wanted to watch the boy all night to make sure that he would not commit any crime against the guests who stayed with them for the night. The girl tried to keep a reasonable distance, but all her efforts were in vain. She did not want to lose the boy's trust and good attitude towards her. Reina said that she was actually afraid to spend the night alone. Kieran said his little sister was a coward. They got into bed and wished each other good night. Nuna wrapped her arms around her brother's shoulder, hoping that he wouldn't slip away. The girl quickly fell asleep, because she was very tired for the whole day. She was about to fall asleep when Kieran asked why his sister liked Olivia so much. The girl replied that Olivia was just very cute. Reina realized that her Bardic was starting to manipulate her again. But he should have been very careful, because the little Duke is dealing with a former graduate student whose nerves were simply iron ropes, and it should not be underestimated. She had good immunity against this. Kieran asked what his sister found so cute in Olivia, because from the very beginning, she was very rude to her and treated the commoner badly. Reina replied that everything is forgiven to beautiful people. The boy asked how she felt about him. The sister replied that he was generally the best among all the others. But she stopped herself in time, because she knew how Kieran reacts to talk about his cute cheeks and pretty chubby appearance. He looked closely at his sister and asked if she thought he was very cute. Nuna replied that she did not think so at all. The boy calmly went to bed and quickly fell asleep. The girl was pleased with herself. She wondered if cat owners felt the same way when cats came to pet them. Although she was worried about what kind of person her brother would grow up to be, sometimes she was so absorbed in his beauty that she was blind to everything else. Reina thought for a long time about what good times would come after the departure of the Viscount family. Everything will return to normal and will be fine as before. No one will stand in her way. Suddenly, Kieran said that he just wanted to punish Olivia for bullying his little sister. But instead, he received from her only condemnation and thoughts about the wrongness of his act. It was very unpleasant for him. Besides, on their first meeting, the nun called him very cute and grabbed his shoulders. and now she says diametrically opposite things. He really didn't like being called cute and handsome, but now he was mad at what his sister had said. But that didn't change the fact that his baby sister remained the only one he could fully control and command. And for him, it was much more important than all the other things that were happening around. Finally, he fell asleep. Olivia approached them. She asked the nun, Sirena, if she wanted to go to the toilet. The girl replied that she did not want to at all. The guest insisted that she see her because she really wanted to go to the toilet. Olivia and Nuna played princess and prince who had to save their beloved from the monster. The monster, as it became clear, was Kirian, who was standing between the two girls. He was not happy with the role that fell to him. Olivia asked Reina if she was ready to save her, because then she would be able to marry a handsome prince. Kirian did not understand what Olivia was doing to him and why he was forced to play a stupid game. The girl replied that now she is always with Olivia. The daughter of the Viscounts herself asked her for it. After yesterday's incident, she was terrified of the sink and even went to the toilet only with Nuna. Reina could tell that the boy was very angry at being recorded in this monster game, and the girls began to play the main roles. Kirian emphasized that his sister herself said that he was better than Olivia, and that's why he proposed not to Olivia, but to marry him. Olivia was not thrilled with the young duke's proposal, but Kirian asked her if she could buy more gifts for Nuna, Reina, than he would. Reina thought that the wedding was very cool. After all, it means living together and giving and receiving many gifts. The duke and his wife, for example, very often exchanged expensive gifts. From here, the girl understood that a real marriage is simply to give each other a large number of gifts, and that's why she happily agreed to the boy's proposal. But their plans were interfered with. The Duchess asked what they were doing here. The woman said that relatives cannot marry each other, even when they like each other very much. No matter how much he liked Reina, they couldn't get married. Reina also understood that for aristocrats, marriage was not just a word. This is a very serious and delicate matter. It was impossible to take such an important step just like that. Therefore, it is worth explaining everything in detail for Kirian. Kirian with her. She said she had to have a serious talk with him. And the girls can play in the room until their play partner returns. After that, Kirian was not seen for a long time. After Olivia returned to her home, Kirian finally came to the family. He did not explain anything about what happened to him all these days, but the boy said that he would come to her at night, and therefore she should not be afraid of the visit. At night, the boy really got into his sister's room. Nuna, Reina asked where he was all this time. The boy said that he spent all his days with his mother. He was embarrassed to talk about what was happening to him. Kirian gave his sister a jar of sweets. The girl could not believe why her little brother would give such delicious treats to him. He said that he is giving her what is very important to him now, and then he offered to marry him. The girl could not believe that the romantic hero proposed to her, and from the very beginning, they did not get along very well. She yawned the moment they got so close, but she was happy with the gift and offer. But the nun recalled her mother's words that relatives, namely a brother and a sister, could not marry. The boy said it didn't matter. And he was still aiming for the fact that he and Nuna, Reina, would get married. The girl thought he was joking. She jokingly agreed to his proposal. He hugged her. The girl is very happy that she got close so easily with her brother, who hated her so much before and was ready to mock her. Reina remembered the plot of the book and thought that soon this little boy would meet the love of his life and do such terrible things to his parents who would be against such a choice. But nothing can stop Kirian's love. The boy said that they should run away from home. The girl could not believe what her brother said. She immediately felt something wrong with his words, but she did not attach such importance to them as it should have been. Meanwhile, the Duke and his wife were talking about their son. The man asked if spending a whole week in the castle was not too severe a punishment. The woman assured that even if the little one cursed the Count's family, it is not scary, and although the Viscounts had money to make themselves wigs, it was worth punishing Kirian for what he had done. He should have understood that over time one should become more mature and not do harm or harm to anyone. A servant distracted them from their conversation. He informed the hosts that their son had beaten the guards and escaped from the palace. Father got angry. He ordered to find the scoundrel and punish him for such a foolish act. And although Nuna convinced her brother that they should not run away, he insisted on his point. The meaning of his plan was revealed a week after the escape. Reina was riding in the carriage with Kiran and two relatives. Everyone praised Reina's beautiful outfit. She said she had the Duke and his wife to thank for him. The woman joked that on today's holiday, all the men would line up to Nuna to propose marriage. Kiran leaned over to the girl and said that it was very dangerous to go to the holiday. After all, there it can be repelled from him. He insisted on escaping in the near future. But Nuna wasn't going to destroy the plan for the sake of stupidity. She asked him that since he was a descendant of the Duke family, the celebration would definitely not take place without him, and how his father and mother might react to it. You should be more prudent, and don't do any nonsense now. She read the novel, but missed the point that the founder of the empire was the first Duke of Istira. True, after the founding of the country, he became bored with state affairs and gave the reins to the chancellor, who was supposed to obey him. The father asked the child to calm down, because this event was supposed to be the first important event for their family. And Reina Istar was to become a full-fledged member of the family precisely after this solemn event, where everyone had to see it. Herzog and his family were greeted by everyone present in the hall. Aristocrats carefully considered the Istar family, and a special young lady, who with dignity, but simply, kept close to little Kiran. Everyone looked at the commoner. Views of the commoner turned out to be more frank than everyone expected. The Duchess saved the girl from this situation. She led the girls behind her, greeting everyone, and introduced her daughter. The girl was so preoccupied that she even stopped noticing the looks of the aristocrats and nobility, who were looking at her not so ironically. Everyone around asked where Kiran was. Did the young duke not come to the reception? Maginée approached the nun and the Duchess. She noted the colorfulness and interesting position of Nuna, Reina in the Istriv family. She also inquired how the young descendant of the Duke family was doing. Syrian asked if the Marquise Maginée really had a daughter. The woman was surprised by the boy's question. The woman introduced her daughter Esmeralda, who was really very beautiful and had really aristocratic features. The boy said that he was pleased to meet the Marquise, and the nun, in turn, noticed that it was the beloved girl from the original novel she was reading. Could those present have known how this acquaintance would end? Reina realized that such a chance should not be missed, and she should immediately make friends with the girl. But it was strange that in the original, she, Reitzna, had to mock the main character, for which Kiran was to be ashamed. But the Marquise herself emphasized that her daughter and Reina, Nuna, should have become friends, because they were the same age. The Duchess did not mind and left her daughter alone with Esmeralda. The woman was glad that Reina was accepted. Nuna asked her brother if he wanted to go with them. The boy replied that he should stay with his mother because she needed supervision. Nuna thought that the story described in the novel might not have started yet. Esmeralda, according to Reina, Nuna, was the fictional heroine of the novel. The girl asked the Duke's daughter to call her just Emerald. She tried in every possible way to avoid the official tone in the conversation and to be simpler. In the original novel, Esmeralda was the daughter of a modest baron. But readers liked her for her quick-witted and strong-willed nature. And here she was a quiet girl from many-blood aristocrats. The story could not have gone as in the novel. The girl told the nun that even though they had just met, she wanted to be friends with her. In any case, it was worth getting close to the Marquise's daughter. In addition, Nuna, Reina remembered all the interests and hobbies of the heroine. The girl asked Esmeralda if she liked horseback riding, archery, and fencing. The Marquise's daughter agreed. She could not understand how the girl had learned about her secret activities and was amazed at the knowledge. She said that she tries very hard to train, but she does not do it very well. Nuna did not understand, and her reaction surprised the girl very much. And she believed that the most important thing is to love your job, even though it may not work out at first. The heroes of the novel not only had common interests, but they were not inferior to each other in their mastery of possession. It seemed that they were created for each other. Maybe it's just that Esmeralda's skills haven't developed yet. Nuna realized that the best way to get approval from a child is to offer sweets. Esmeralda agreed to eat something, but the girl refused because she was afraid of getting fat. Esmeralda said she might get fat, and that's why she shouldn't eat sweets. For a moment, it seemed that the girl had simply gone mad. She kept repeating this phrase, but she quickly returned to normal. After asking to forgive her, because sometimes she has severe headaches, the girl continued the conversation as if nothing so strange had happened. She told about one very good pastry shop, from which she will bring a gift next time. Nuna. Reina asked to wait for her. She will bring hot soup and something else for Esmeralda to refresh and cheer up. She analyzed what she saw in her mind, and came to the conclusion that something was wrong here, as in the book. She was sure that the daughter of Marquise Magenet was the one who was supposed to win the heart of young Kyrian. However, the story never began. Maybe the time needed to start, but it was worth taking your time. On the way from the kitchen, Nuna Reina was attacked by a group of young aristocratic women. The girl guessed that this is another cliché of cheap romance novels. A group of girls of noble origin make fun of people from the common people. A group of aristocratic girls demanded an apology from Nuna for the fact that she so carelessly touched their friend. As a result, a very expensive dress was ruined, and they wondered how the commoner was going to compensate for the expenses. One of the attackers offered to teach the little girl. Reina said that when aristocratic women defend their friends like that, they have a sense of honor. The girl added that the shoes she is wearing today. Reina said that the value of those shoes was much more than the dress of the girl she accidentally pushed. She wasn't going to put up with being bullied, and decided to go on the offensive so as not to become a victim. The girl with whom Reina had a conflict could not believe that a commoner could behave like that. But Nuna believed that the conflict was exhausted, and there was nothing more to talk about. But the girl did not want to calm down. Everyone around looked at Countess Lamira. Her behavior confused everyone. The young lady behaved in a way that no noble lady should behave. Many considered such behavior unworthy, and openly condemned Lamira. Nuna decided to resolve the conflict. She put herself in the position of an adult, and reminded her that when the compensation was ready, she would be warned. Lamira asked where the girl was going, but she slipped on the spilled soup and fell. But Reina herself also almost fell next to her opponent. An unknown boy came to her aid, who managed to grab the young duchess and hold her. The girl asked aloud what kind of prince this was on a white horse. The girl burst out laughing, because she said it out loud. The boy did not pay any attention to such an attack. Nuna did not understand what kind of story it was. She simply could not recall such an episode in any of the chapters of the novel. In the middle of the hall stood a girl with whom Nuna recently had a conflict. Her mother came to help the little girl. She asked aloud who would dare to do such a thing to her child. The daughter pointed a finger at Nuna and accused her. The mother of the offended girl asked what dictated such a bold behavior of Nuna. The woman emphasized that she would not tolerate such treatment of her daughter. She asked if the girl had been taught good manners. Nuna thought that since the adults had intervened, the matter had taken too serious a turn. But a boy suddenly stood up for the nun. He asked Countess Lamira to give him an opportunity to tell him everything. The woman looked at the girl, who had just said that her patience had come to an end. Even postgraduate endurance is not enough to hold on. But the boy emphasized that it is necessary to clarify the facts in order to get to the truth. Nuna told about the fact that she was pushed by the daughter of Countess Lamira. Because of this, the soup from the bowl spilled onto the girl's dress. But the important thing was that the dragon skin boots, which the Duchess had specially ordered, got dirty. Countess Lamourie could not believe what she heard. The girl went on to talk about the dragon skin that needs to be kept for 100 years every day to become usable. It is not surprising that the Countess had not heard of such. Ordinary people rarely have to see such a thing in their entire lives, but the girl understood the woman's surprise and her lack of understanding that the situation was so serious. And accordingly, the amount of compensation will be huge. Although the girl perfectly understood that the skin of the dragon, which cannot be pierced even with a knife, even the teeth and claws of a dragon could not harm such shoes. But she went on to talk about the letter that would soon arrive from the Duke's house. The woman could not stand it, and asked where the evidence came from that it was her daughter who had committed such a serious offense. The girl asked if the Countess would now deny everything, but the boy said that he was the witness. The boy turned out to be the prince of the kingdom of Xia, and therefore his word is the word of honor of the great monarch of one of the most powerful and richest kingdoms of the continent. He said that the daughter of the Countess of Lamoureux was guilty. Nuna was still thinking about the prince and the kingdom of Xia. Even in the novel, it was a very powerful and rich ally. It is worth imagining what kind of state this kingdom is in fact, when even a descendant of the royal family behaves so easily. The woman looked confused at the prince, who asked if she dared not believe his words. The mother lashed out at her daughter with reproaches about her behavior. The countess forced to apologize to the nuns. The woman assured that her daughter had made a mistake and the compensation would be paid soon. Nuna was happy that everything was done with 2 words of the prince, which once again indicated the importance of his person as a representative of the kingdom. To Nuna, she asked if anything serious had happened to her new friend. The girl replied that everything was fine, and the conflict resolved itself. Nuna asked how Esmeralda was feeling. And when everything was decided, the prince invited Nuna to a dance. He asked her to be his bride. But the girl did not know how to answer such a question. She had no idea how it could end. Kirian glared at his mother. He was angry with her. The Duchess said that they should enter his sister today so that she could dance and talk with other people, get to know her peers. And although the boy protested, the woman understood that it was impossible to ruin plans for Reina's love. The girl had to declare herself and learn to behave accordingly and solve the fateful issues that arise before her. Esmeralda wanted to invite Nuni to dance, but at the moment a lot of boys ran up to her and dragged her along. The girl felt sorry that no one paid attention to her, as they did to Esmeralda. Approached Nuna. He asked to be allowed to dance with her. The girl remembered that he was also mentioned in the original. The boy knew everything about her. He had time to ask everyone present about who she was. Nuna was pleasantly surprised by the rules of etiquette that prevailed in this world. She was pleased that Esmeralda's former fan had become her humble servant. The boy was a little worried about the fact that he did not dance well. The girl replied that she saw nothing wrong with it. Both of them thought that now it would be awkward in front of their partner, and they kept quite stiff. The prince said that he would lead the dance, and the girl had to obey his movements. Nuna was uncomfortable with the fact that she did not dance well. The girl suggested that Prince Xia find a new partner. However, he replied that he would not do this because he wanted to dance with her from the very beginning. He unceremoniously said that he liked her. The girl said that with such manners and gallant behavior, the prince will break more than one female heart in the future. The prince mysteriously said that he knew her secret. The boy said that commoners rarely get a chance to look at such a wonder. The dragon skin vest is said to be a family heirloom of the Xia royal family. It is also called a perfect shield that is difficult to penetrate. Neither the hail of arrows on the battlefield, nor the calls of predators, nor even too sticky soup can damage such armor. He asked if Nuna's shoes were of the same grade of dragon skin clothing. After that, he assured that they have a lot in common. The prince added that he was pleasantly surprised by the way the girl behaved when Lemuri's daughter and her friends pounced on her. The girl said that it is a little strange when a person likes another's lies. He replied that it was the first time he had seen a lady of the same age lying with such an honest expression on her face. And then he once again asked if she was ready to become his bride. The girl is confused. She definitely did not expect such a turn of events. She thought that she had been called twice in this life in the past 2 days to be married. What did not happen in the past life at all? It somehow unexpectedly drove me into a stupor. The prince said that it was not really about the wedding. He was talking about arranged marriages. The girl thought that the world of the novel was actually very strange. The boy explained the essence of his proposal, and Nuna realized that she had made the right choice. With the prince's mother deposed, power now dangles between him and his half-brother, the second prince. And Xia wanted to strengthen his position due to the fact that he would be born into the family of dukes. In return, he promised her full support in all her endeavors. House Istira rarely took part in social life. For their status, their position in society was quite shaky, and that is why it should be corrected through marriage. And if Nuna had any wishes, he was ready to fulfill them. The girl said that her only condition is to transfer funds to her account every month. In the future, this will help her move out of the Duke's palace and live independently. After all, the order that prevailed in the Duke's house was very confusing to Nuna. It is very difficult for a commoner to live with gold coins and things given to the Duke. The prince coughed. The girl thought that the conditions were too much. The prince said it was the least he could do for her. He supported all conditions. Nuna thought that for the first time in her life she felt this way. She thought that she would not be able to play such an important role in the prince's life. But the boy assured that together with her they would become ideal partners. And finally, the moment has come to get the final answer on whether Lady Nuna, Reina, will agree to become his wife, to give him such an honor. Kirian stood before his partners. Nuna hadn't expected to see him right here. She felt trouble coming. After all, when his Gam the prince started talking about marriage, she immediately remembered her younger brother. After all, she jokingly agreed to marry Kirian. After what he saw, he could hate her again. And thus she again fell into his slavery. But Kirian asked if the sister really agreed. He went away. Nuna did not expect such a reaction from her younger brother, and now she wondered what would happen to her after they returned home. The prince called her, but the girl said that she would return to him later. Nuna found her brother on the roof. He asked, offended, why she did that. The girl looked at her brother in confusion. She just promised to marry the prince. In addition, she did not promise anything to Kirian. She apologized for her behavior, but it was the last thing that could save her from the captivity of life in the Duke's house. This is how she can independently gain independence and start living a fulfilling life. The boy asked if wedding and marriage are not the same thing. The sister explained that a wedding is just a promise to get married. It can be easily abandoned. It was difficult for her to refuse, but this wedding was necessary for her. The boy hopefully asked his sister if she was lying this time. Nuna did not understand what her brother wanted to hear from her. She asked to just take her word for it. Kirian hugged his sister tightly. He wanted to believe her confession, but the boy in the depths of his heart lost hope and faith in Nuna. After all, 2 days before that, he had heard her promise to marry him, and so Kirian decided that he could not fully trust his sister. He realized that her promises were empty. At the same time, he was thinking about how to keep the girl close to him as long as possible and buy time for his plans. And it will be much better than her empty promises. In this way, Kirian will begin to implement his cunning plan. The mother noticed that Nuna, Reina, was behaving strangely. The girl replied that nothing happened, she was just thinking. Nuna thought that it had been 9 years since she became Reina, and now she was 16. During all this time, she could not solve one mystery that tormented her. And finally, it's time to find the answer to your questions. At the reception, the Duke forbade any kind of wedding for Rainey, believing that she was still too young for it. He added that at her age, one should still enjoy a carefree life and not think about the wedding and all the troubles that will follow it. The formulation of this question at this time was completely wrong. 9 years later, it became very difficult to find someone the same age as Reina who did not have a fiancé. She thought Prince His would get tired of waiting and find someone else. Her mother asked her if it could be because of Lady Lemira. The girl replied that she stopped getting her at all receptions, and the Duchess said that if this time she sneaks up to her daughter, she will definitely get a kick out of her. Reina asked not to get excited and to calm down. Reina said she had to leave. The Duke and his wife agreed to this. But Kirian's reaction was hard to understand. Until now, he had been closely following the girl wherever she went. Suddenly, he grew older. She saw in him a real hero of a romantic novel that she had read in a past life. The boy became so gallant, polite, and attentive to women's whims. Although she sometimes missed that boy very much. A group of women surrounded Lady Lemira. Everyone congratulated her on her wedding and wished her all the best. Although their voices sounded too artificial, but she agreed with everyone who spoke about her beauty. Even Lady Esmeralda joined in the congratulations. Lady Lemira thanked for the warm greetings. The current queen of the ball was in a hurry to arrange a wedding with a rich baron from a poor family. Lemira asked Reina why she hasn't heard any good news about the wedding yet. Nuna thought how she got this insidious Lady Lemira, who at every reception does not miss the opportunity to somehow embarrass her old opponent for the scandal that happened 9 years ago at a similar reception. Lemira said she was beginning to worry about Noon's procrastination. The girl assured that she could be calm. Thoughts swirled in his head about what should be taught to her, as the Duchess had said. And she said that the Duke of Astira felt a very warm relationship with her. Reina was happy with the effect she saw on Lemira's face. The girl had learned a lot since she became the daughter of a duke and not a commoner. Lemira pointed to the bracelet on Reina's hand. She sarcastically asked the daughters of the dukes if the jewelry on the arm of some commoner was not too rich. And this gift is too much for a simple wedding. Nuna feigned that she could never have thought of such a thing. Perhaps somewhere around here, she could find a place where she could leave him for a while, so as not to arouse jealousy and spoil the evening for any of the aristocrats. Lemira agreed that it was a very good idea. She said that she was ready to take care of the bracelet herself, because her wedding was coming soon. The girl promised to take the jewelry to her room. There he had to be whole and unharmed. Self-confident Lemira thought that such beautiful jewelry would suit only her alone, and a commoner had no right to wear such precious jewelry. Reina completely forgot about her modest position. The girl, who was a commoner, thought a lot about herself. Once she dreamed of becoming a worthy bride of a prince or the wife of the duke himself. But because of her bad character, she was defeated. The lack of ability to behave in the community of aristocrats and too self-confident ambitions of a girl of simple origin played no small role in this. And she decided to blame others for her failures. And just then, at such a necessary moment for Reina, the prince of a neighboring state fell into her hands. And Lemira plunged into thoughts about how fiercely she was ready to take revenge on her rival, from whom she had been beaten a long time ago. She was interrupted from looking at the bracelet by Kiryang, who just entered the room. The girl did not expect to see him here. He even scared her with something. The boy asked why Lemira seemed to be hiding from him in the shadows. He said that she should not hide, because the jewelry suited her very well. The boy's behavior surprised and confused her. The girl was most worried about the fact that the duke's descendant could notice the nun's jewelry on her. Syrian said he felt very sick and sorry for himself when he learned of Lady Lemira's intention to marry someone. His heart was bleeding for a long time. He had dreamed of Lady Lemira for many years, and it was hard to bear. The girl asked why he told about it now. After all, if the boy had done it earlier, they could have gotten married. Lemira said that she still loves him very much and admires him as a person and a man. The girl said that although she had agreed to the wedding, if he would give her some time and be ready to wait, then she would become his wife completely, which she could only dream of at the time. The guy assured that everything will be fine. Now they just need to show the whole world and everyone present a sign of their eternal love. The girl could not understand what Kiryang was talking about. The boy said that she should wear a beautiful bracelet for tonight's ceremony. Kiryang, after this conversation, went to his sister and Esmeralda, who kept Rainy company. Both were glad to see the duke's son and were overjoyed at his presence. The girls saw a mysterious expression on Kiryang's face. Nuna! Reina noticed that her brother was a little pale. She asked if the boy was all right. The brother assured that he was completely fine. He thanked for the concern and was very glad that the girl paid attention to him. Esmeralda noticed the age changes of Kiryang. She said that the boy grew up very quickly. The time since their last meeting has passed very quickly. The girl was clearly interested in the young man. Nuna. Reina thought that soon her little brother was going to turn into the romantic hero the book was talking about. She was torn from her thoughts by the voice of the chief master of ceremonies addressing everyone present. The man thanked everyone who came to the ceremony from the bottom of his heart. He was glad that so many people decided to share the joy of this day with him. This day was supposed to be unusual, and it was supposed to be filled with beauty and joy of life. Today, everyone will see how the flower of love will bloom. And everyone had to bless those bright feelings that were to be born. And the man sincerely believed that they were destined to become even stronger and more durable. Nuna. Reina noticed how carefully Lemira was looking at her and her brother. In addition, the girl noticed her bracelet on the hands of her fierce opponent. And in general, Lady Lemira's appearance was somewhat surprising. And even scared. Lemira's husband also could not understand the strange change that had happened to his wife in the last hours. He tried in every way to guess what the reason was, because he did not recognize his bride. The chairman of the ceremony asked everyone to support the feelings that were born here and now. And finally, the moment came when the husband and the bride had to light the candle together. The fire played out in front of Lemira and her fiancé. Lemira's hand with the bracelet on it was on fire. The girl called everyone for help. When Reina put out the fire on Lemira's dress, she started yelling at Nuna and accused her of having arranged it all. It was all her evil plan. Lemira asked what Reina had done to the bracelet that it caught fire so badly just from being near the fire. Esmeralda asked if the bracelet did not belong to Lady Rainey, and why in this case is he on the hand of another. Everyone around noticed that Esmeralda was right. People whispered among themselves, but they were more inclined to the fact that the young daughter of the ducal family simply borrowed or let the jewelry wear. The hall buzzed with speculation. Reina herself asked her opponent why the jewelry was on her hand. After all, Lemira simply promised to look after the bracelet, hiding it in a very safe place. After all, she said that the decoration is too luxurious for a commoner. Lemira turned to Kirian for protection from attacks. She asked him to explain to everyone present what had happened. After all, it was he who asked her to wear the jewelry without fail. The guy replied that he had no idea what he was talking about. The girl looked at Kirian in confusion. She asked what he was saying. After all, a few hours later, he swore his love and refused her to marry his fiancé. Esmeralda asked to shut up. The girl said that everyone saw how Lemira took the bracelet from Reina. In addition to everything, she dared to approach Nuna, who came to congratulate her opponent on such an important day in the life of every girl. Everyone around believed that Lemira should have been ashamed of the fact that she appropriated someone else's jewelry and attacked the real owner of the bracelet. The aristocrat did not know how to respond to the condemnation that poured in from everywhere. Nuna looked after Lemira. She could not understand what was wrong with these aristocrats. Only power and a sense of self-importance are their real priorities. And Lemira should now be ashamed to appear in public. People asked why the Countess taught her daughter. After all, today's act showed a rather limited worldview. Those present spoke about the low moral values that the majority live by now. Nuna understood that she did not feel any hatred or negative emotions towards her opponent. She just wanted this feud to end as soon as possible. And yet she believed that at some point she had bent the stick. Kirian asked the girl to stop blaming herself. It is not her fault in this whole situation. After everything she had to endure from Lemira, this is a normal ending. His sister was too kind to her enemy. He suggested going for a walk in the garden near the palace. The girl was delighted with his proposal. Reina noticed that Kirian's attitude towards her had changed lately. He became more attentive and polite to her. But he no longer expressed his feelings as openly as he had in childhood. Renya couldn't shake the feeling that they had drifted apart and were no longer as close as they had been since childhood. Reina asked how Lemira ended up in her bracelet. The guy replied that it was difficult to turn, but he managed everything. He said he was very tired of having to lie, and according to him, Kirian did not know how to do this at all, although his sister herself doubted it very much, and therefore he had the right to praise. After all, he had to do what he doesn't like to do so much. The girl stroked his hair and jokingly felt sorry for him. Her brother was still a child at heart. Reina offered to return to the hall because soon everyone would go home. And now they had a moment to eat something delicious. Reina was writing a letter. She thought she was fine, and she will soon have the opportunity to speak with the Duke. It will be about the wedding. Finally, she finished writing the letter and thought again that everyone around her was getting married. There is very little time left before the main plot begins, and she and her brother are constantly and gradually moving away. And Reina has made no progress with her plans for the future. Independence seemed so far away to her. The girl decided to rest and take a walk in the fresh air. She got dressed and left the hall. Due to her worries and anxieties, Reina did not notice that Kirian was following her. The boy had long noticed how distant his sister had become. The boy entered the room and took the letter that Reina had just finished writing. In the letters of lovers, it was always about the readiness to pass any tests and overcome all obstacles on the way to happiness. He expected to see vows and sacrificial promises regarding his other half in the letter, but these letters lacked the tenderness and warmth of loving hearts. Kirian remembered how his sister suffered from insomnia. He looked at his sister, who was walking down the hall, and thought that the wedding was not a problem for him. The guy expected to deal with this problem instantly. The Duke felt no guilt about his plans for his sister. The girl returned to the room when she noticed that someone was there. She asked in fright who it was. Syrian reassured her and told her not to worry. He asked his sister to put him to sleep, as it often happened in childhood. The girl did not immediately understand her brother's request. Kirian added that they should have slept better together. After all, they sway each other. The girl protested because he was already an adult boy and it was not appropriate to do so. The guy insisted. He said he had a very scary dream. He did not believe that his beloved sister would push him away and leave his only brother to suffer nightmares. Syrian was upset. Reina, Nuna replied that he is already an adult and his tricks will not pass. He asked why she was pushing him away. The girl replied that she would not drive anyone away, but it is strange to do such a thing at such an age. The guy said she was right. After all, they are family, and relatives do not leave their relatives. The sister thought she had lost to him again as he lay beside her in bed, but she was right in that her little brother is not that mature. Kirian asked if his sister was troubled by the fact that she was still unmarried, and that's why she has a bad dream. The girl agreed. Everyone around was already married, but she remained single all this time. She was worried. Reina herself. Nuna was surprised that the boy asked her about this fact. This is how he usually reacted to any questions related to his sister's marriage, and then Kirian asked if he could help her with that. The boy continued to talk about how he could talk to his father. Nuna thought that if Kirian could talk his father out of it, that would be a very good thing. But she was surprised that the boy started talking about it just now. But instead, the boy asked his sister for something. As soon as she comes of age, she will have to leave the lands of the duchy. The girl looked at her brother in confusion. She was going to leave the palace anyway. Before, death was waiting for her, but now she will be exiled. She still agreed to his proposal. The girl said that in case of a successful marriage, she would do so. The brother was happy that everything was successful. When they were engaged, her brother asked her if they would remain a family after this. The girl started to cry. The reasons for the tears were unclear to her. After all, everything went according to plan. She won't even have to run away. Nuna to him, and said that it was time for her to think about marriage. After all, at the age of 16, it's time. The man remembered that it was not long ago that his daughter was so young, and now he is already thinking about the wedding. He allowed her wedding. The girl thanked her father. In the end, her father said that it didn't matter if she married or not. There would always be a place for her in the Duke's lands. Nuna showed a joyful look. Finally, she received the permission for the wedding, which she had dreamed of for so long. The first to greet the girl was her friend Esmeralda. She showed a lot of joy and warmth about it. After all, Nuna was like a sister to her. Viscountess Majin said that she had noticed a long time ago what a beautiful couple Noon, Reina, and the prince, and Esmeralda also needs to find a prince and a groom. The girl replied that she was sure of Esmeralda's happiness. In her mind, Nuna remembered that Esmeralda should become the heroine of the novel, and that's why everything will work out for her, and you can fully and completely get on with your life. Suddenly she remembered that Kirian had not been home for several days. Reina felt sad that her brother could miss the wedding ceremony. Esmeralda's mother said she was also very uncomfortable that Reina's only brother would miss the ceremony. The girl said it's okay. She remembered his sad words that they would no longer be a family. Nuna thought that Kirian no longer thought of her as his sister. Thoughts about preparing for the wedding distracted me from heavy thoughts. On the day of the ceremony, Prince His said that he was grateful to the girl for becoming his bride. The man promised to make efforts to make Nuna comfortable. The girl replied that she would also try for the groom. She was grateful to the prince that thanks to the wedding, the issue of becoming independent was resolved for her. Now she only had to fulfill the role of the bride, and she succeeded in everything. Everything went smoothly. The prince asked what happened to Nuna. She looked like she was about to cry. The bride replied that she was just worried, and she is very happy that they are finally husband and wife. And only after the ceremony was over, Reina realized that she did not remember how the ceremony went and what wedding dress she was wearing. She did not remember anything at all. All her thoughts were somewhere very far from this place. Hisu, the best possible stay in his possessions. The prince was glad that he had succeeded in everything. And now he had certain political dividends from a successful wedding with the daughter of the Duke of Istra. Kirian approached the prince. He greeted the distinguished guest. His asked what he owed to such a visit, since the duke's son had entered his chambers without permission. The boy ignored the prince. He looked around the room. Kirian said that the prince was lucky when Reina agreed to be his wife. But the duke's son understood that this wedding was dictated by political issues, and Kirian had a hard time believing in love at first sight. The boys remembered their meeting 9 years ago at a holiday dedicated to statehood. Since then, the prince and his bride have never seen each other. In this case, there should be no talk of love. Feelings in this case were completely absurd. Unless the prince was attracted to the status of the duke's daughter, although he didn't think his sister was someone who could be easily tricked. The prince spoke about his agreement with Lady Reina, but the prince emphasized that when he saw his bride, thoughts about the deal disappeared from his head. He sincerely loved the duke's daughter, and now he cannot imagine life without her at all. Or even he felt it from the beginning. Besides, now the lady is his bride. And even if Kirian now shows undisguised hostility, he will not give up on Reina, because she did not give up on him. They had nothing to talk about, but Kirian asked what they should do about it now. After all, the same applies to him. The conflict promised to grow with every minute if the opponents did not show intelligence and patience. The question remained open. Reina. Nuna was in her room, wondering why Kirian hadn't come to his only sister's ceremony. Was he really that upset that she decided to marry another guy? And it is also a fool to grieve over a brother. The girl thought for a long time about whether she was doing the right thing. And as a result, she realized that the fact that her brother did not come to her wedding ceremony affected her very much. And then, Kirian came to her. He was glad that his sister was still awake. The brother said he came to apologize to his sister. He accidentally missed the ceremony. Nuna. Reina was worried that he could hear everything she was thinking out loud. Instead, she said everything went well, but Kirian said that not everything was so good, because he could see that his sister was worried about something. The girl asked to leave her because she was very tired, and ready to fall asleep right here and now, and the boy said that he brought a gift. He said that he chose for her, shiny and beautiful, everything as she likes. The girl said that for this she is ready to wait, because a gift from her brother is a very valuable thing, and she cannot refuse him this. Syrian led his sister to the lake. The girl really liked it. After all, the stars reflected on the surface of the pond turned out to be as brilliant as her brother had told her. The boy asked if the nun liked Rainy. The brother said that the sister liked a little different shiny things, but he thought that this was a good idea for a gift. Nuna said she really likes it. No one did that for her. The brother's idea was excellent. The girl admitted that she really likes Kirian with his plans. It was a pity that the prince was not like her younger brother. Romance and love were not part of Hisa's plans. The main thing in their marriage was an agreement. Kirian said he doesn't regret missing the wedding at all. The only thing that bothered him was that he missed the dance with the bride. And the boy asked if he could ask his sister to dance right now. Sometimes she had questions about the fact that her little brother was the hero from the book. He was very different from the described character. Nuna sometimes felt that she was wrong when she drew analogies. It is hard for her to believe that he will turn into the cruel man she read about in the novel. The guy wondered if he really bored her as a child. Nuna. Reina replied that she just loved him. The girl added that he was very cute as a child, although he was often offended for this. Then, she was just afraid of provoking the boy's anger. He asked if she found him nice and cute now. The girl agreed. Reina wondered when the moment would come when he would become a violent sociopath. Will he soon drive his parents from their inherited lands and arrange a bloody massacre? Now he was just very handsome. The boy asked if he had grown up to be called simply unsurpassed. The girl said that he still has to grow and grow. Perhaps the plot of the novel changed after she moved here. The guy said that everything in this world changes over time. Both he and his sister are not what they used to be. Nuna thought that she was the one who changed Kirian for the better, but her brother pulled her out of her thoughts. He reminded her of their agreement, which stated that she must leave his father's lands after marrying Prince His. The boy asked her not to forget Reina and keep her promise. Nuna was leaving for the academy. Her personal maid, Eliza, carried the landlady's suitcases and said that another carriage was needed for all the duke's daughter's belongings. The girl asked the maid not to forget to take the furniture as well. The duke and his wife watched as their daughter tortured the servants. The man assured that the salary of the servant should be increased. After all, only a very faithful person or a true friend can endure such hell. The parents noticed that the girl was nervous. They believed that the reason for this is that the daughter is worried about entering the academy. The mother added that a girl her age should play and enjoy life. Rainey is a little sick of being told how to behave by her parents. Certain aspects of the Duke's children's upbringing worried her deeply. She remembered a song by a famous rapper in her world who sang about his wealth.